Hello everyone, my name is Anna Malazhevaya. I'm a tax lawyer in Toronto, Canada, and I'm a founder of a tax law firm called Advo Tax Law. This is my first video in a series called A House Plus HST. I created this series because I think there's a lot of misconception and confusion among my clients about how HST applies to transactions involving residential real estate. And this is the area where you don't know the rules. It can cost you a lot of money. That's why I created this series. Now, I know tax can be very boring unless you're a tax nerd like myself. So this is why I'm trying to use very basic general language in these videos. I hope you can follow what I'm saying, and I won't be discussing all the exemptions and exclusions. I will only talk about general stuff, and obviously I won't be providing legal advice because you can never provide legal advice over a video like this. I will talk about HST in this video as it applies to purchasers. So my first video is for purchases of real estate. If you're thinking about buying a property in Ontario, or if you already purchased a property in Ontario, you may learn something new. I will talk about HST in general, how it applies to transactions involving residential real estate. I will talk about rebates that most frequently apply, and I will talk about mistakes a lot of people make when they claim those rebates. Now, HST, everyone knows, the rate is 13% here in Ontario, and it applies on the value of consideration for the supply of goods and services. And yes, including real estate. So when you buy or sell real estate, there may be HST implication in the amount of 13% of the sale price. So we're talking about a lot of money at stake. Now you may be thinking, wait a second, I remember I bought my house or my condo, but I don't remember paying HST, as you said, 13%. That would have been tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't remember writing a check like that. And you may be right here. If you purchase a house or a condo on the secondary market, on a resale market, if you purchased a used home, there is an exemption from HST available to these transactions. This is what we call an exempt supply, meaning HST did not apply to those transactions. Now, I will stop here for a minute. I use the word used homes loosely here. It's not a legal term. Really, the exemption applies to homes that are not sold by builders. And who the builder is a topic for a completely different video. That will be the video number 2 in the series. So, something to remember, we don't have HST on the sale of used, I use the term loosely, real estate residential properties here in Ontario. Good news, remember it. Now, if you are purchasing a new home or a condo or a substantially renovated home or a condo, I'd like to assure you that most likely, as the purchaser, you pay to the lender tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in HST here in Ontario. Doesn't ring a bell? Do you believe me? Yes, you paid tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in HST on that transaction. So dust off that purchase agreement you have from your builder and look at the purchase price. And chances are, where you see the purchase price, there is a notation next to it that says HST included. So yes, that purchase price you paid for the builder, only a portion of it went to the builder, and then another portion of it went to the Canada Revenue Agency on account of the HST. And at this point, my clients would tell me, wait a second, but I got my HST back. There was a rebate. I remember now, there was a rebate. I got my HST back. There was a $24,000 rebate. And again, you may be right. There are rebates available. And yes, some of them are amounts to $24,000. But chances are that HST, the total HST, was much, much higher. So let's talk about those rebates, the $24,000 rebates, as you call them, although the amount may be different depending on the value of the house. So there are really two most common rebates that people are entitled to. The new housing rebate, and I will call it the resident rebate, because to be entitled to it, you have to reside in the house. You have to purchase it with the intention of using the house as your principal residence. And there's also the new residential rental property rebate, and I will call it the landlord rebate. And this is because it's available to landlords, people who buy the properties and then lease the property to tenants. So for houses that are worth more than $450,000, the maximum rebate you are entitled to is $24,000 in Ontario. And because the market in Toronto is so crazy nowadays, most of the transactions involving the real estate in Toronto, for buyers are entitled to that amount, $24,000 rebate, and that's why the amount sounds so familiar. Everyone talks about $24,000 rebate. So first, I'd like to talk to the new housing rebate, to the resident rebate. In very general terms, it's available to individuals only who purchase a residential unit, a house or a condo, with the intention of using it as their principal place of residence. If the house is worth more than $450,000, your rebate is maximum $24,000. If your property is worth less than $450,000, you may be entitled to an additional component of that rebate, the federal portion of the rebate, and the amount may be higher. So talk to your tax professional about that. So practically speaking, most buyers of new residential homes in Toronto, if they buy houses to live in them. A lot of them. So most people who buy houses, they intend to live in the houses, and most of them are entitled to that $24,000 rebate from the CRA. And now you may be thinking, wait a second, so you're saying first of all, I paid that HST at 13% to the CRA, and now I was supposed to get a rebate. I don't remember getting a check for $24,000. And again, you may be correct, and this is why you assign the right to the $24,000 check, the rebate check, to your builder. And this is how things normally work with most commercial builders. So your builder did not include $24,000 in the purchase price, did not take that money from you, and instead made you assign the right to that $24,000 new housing rebate to the builder. So essentially, builder got the rebate instead of you, and you got a $24,000 discount in that purchase price. So for example, if we're talking about a $1 million house in Toronto, so $1 million is the price that the builder wants to keep for itself. He thinks that's the price of the house. On top of it, the builder has to collect from you 13% HST, that's $130,000. But in most cases, you will see that the purchase price for this house will be the sales price, $1 million plus 13% HST minus that $24,000 new housing rebate. And this is because the builder thinks that person is probably entitled to the rebate, and that person will be able to assign the right to the rebate to me, and I'm going to discount the price and I'm going to collect the rebate check on behalf of the buyer. So this is what normally happens. So in my example, the price tag on the $1 million house will be $1,106,000 when you look at it in the presentation center as you buy in a new property. So what do you need to remember? If you're purchasing a new home and with the intention of using it as your primary place of residence, you would typically pay to your builder HST equal to 13%, and usually minus the $24,000 rebate, and you assign the right to receive that rebate to your builder. This is what normally happens. So here's something important to remember. While the builder in that process will make you sign a number of documents confirming that you're entitled to that new housing rebate, to that resident rebate. And a lot of buyers sign those documents without putting much thought into it. But at the same time, not everyone is entitled to the to the new housing rebate, because not everyone buys real estate properties with the purpose of living there. There are people who are investors, there are people who are real estate flippers, they in the business of constant buying and selling real estate. These people are not eligible for that rebate. So again, if you're buying a new real estate property with the intention of quick resale and making a profit, you are not entitled to that new housing rebate. And if you audit it later on, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to have to pay that rebate back to the CRA, plus interest and maybe penalties. Now, if you buy the property as an investment, if you're a landlord, again, you're not entitled to the $24,000 rebate, which is the resident rebate. You're not entitled to that $24,000 discount in the price from the builder. What you may be entitled to, you may be entitled to the landlord rebate, which is also worth $24,000, but you have to do all the work. You have to apply for it, you have to provide supporting documents to the CRA, and you are the one getting the check from the CRA if you get the rebate. And you have to do it all within a certain period of time. So that's the difference. As you sign in those documents in the builder's office, think about what you sign in, read about what you sign in. If you're really not intending to use the property as your principal place of business, do not sign documents that say that you are. It may get you in trouble. So things to remember: if you're an investor, you pay full 13% HST to the builder, and then you apply for that landlord rebate yourself. Now, if you were paying attention, you may ask me, Anna, but you said both rebates, the resident rebate, the landlord rebate, both of them are worth $24,000. So why would CRA care which one I applied for, whether it's the builder who applies in the beginning or me applying later? Well, the CRA may care if they audit you several years later and they find out that you never intended to live in a house, you did not live in a house, that resident rebate will be denied. You're gonna have to pay back that $24,000 plus interest and maybe penalties. But if you wanna try to claim the landlord rebate, there may be difficulties. First of all, there is a 2-year limit that you would have to overcome or prove to the CRA that they have to allow you to claim the landlord rebate. That sometimes is challenging with some auditors. And then several years down the road, you may not have all the supporting documents. Your tenants may move out. Your agreements may get lost. So if you want to stay safe, do it right the first time. So to summarize what we discussed about, Number one, we don't have HST on used residential real estate properties in Canada. Number two, there is HST at 13% on new or substantially renovated real estate properties in Toronto, residential real estate properties. Number three, if you purchase a home with the intention of using it as your primary place of residence, you may be entitled to the new housing rebate, or as I called it in the video, the resident rebate. And if you're working with a large commercial builder, chances are they're gonna do most of the work for you. You don't have to do much. And chances are they will provide you that $24,000 discount and ask you to assign the right of the rebate to them, to the builder. And number four, if you purchase a home with the intention to lease it to your tenants, what you need to apply for is the landlord rebate, and you typically do it yourself. You provide supporting documents, and there is a time limit for it, and you have to do it right, so talk to your tax professional. So this concludes my first video in the House Plus HST series. I hope you enjoyed it. My next video, I think, will be even more interesting, if I may say so myself. I will talk about HST as it applies to builders of real estate properties, residential real estate properties in Ontario. We're going to talk about who those builders are, and you may be surprised to learn that those are not necessarily people who build houses. It can be you or me. It can be anyone. And we will talk about HST as the profit killer for some real estate projects. So if you're building a house for a resale, a new or substantially renovated house, we're going to talk about how HST may kill all your profits. So if I got you interested, please stay tuned, and thank you for watching.